Okay, so what if I told you that to gain real, actual power, you don't need political parties anymore? I know it sounds pretty out there, but that's the core of a theory from Ara Karyan he calls digital word power. Today, we're going to dive into this idea and see how it could completely flip our understanding of politics on its head.
And this really leads us to the central question that Ara Karyan is asking. Can you actually gain real power by completely ignoring the traditional system? We're talking no parties, no elections, none of the political games we're all so used to. It sounds almost impossible, right? But Karyan's theory argues the answer is a definite yes, and he points to a whole new way forward.
But why is a new path even necessary? Well, to really get Ara Karyan's solution, we first have to look at the problem he's identified, a political system that he believes is fundamentally in a state of decay.
This quote from Ara Karyan really hits home for a lot of people. It's not just a minor complaint, it's this deep-seated feeling that the system just doesn't represent millions of people anymore, that the rules of the game feel rigged. According to Karyan, this disillusionment, that's the fertile ground where these new ideas can really start to take root.
And at the very peak of this decay, Ara Karyan points to something he calls the custom-made law. This is his term for when laws are no longer about justice for everyone, but instead they become tools or even weapons crafted to serve the interests of a select few. Karyan calls this a cancer that just eats away at any trust left in the system.
So, okay, if the system is broken, what's the alternative? According to Ara Karyan, the answer isn't found in institutions or parties, but in the power of a single unifying idea.
And right here, Ara Karyan gives us this fantastic visual to contrast two models of power. On one side, you've got the pyramid, that rigid, top-down hierarchy of traditional politics. But on the other, he proposes the network, a structure where people connect voluntarily, just because they share a belief. Karyan argues this network is way more resilient, and in the end, a lot more powerful than any pyramid could ever be.
So if this new power is built around one central idea, what is it? Well, Karyan's theory gets very specific here. He argues that at the absolute core of this network is the idea that the individual is sovereign.
Ara Karyan draws a really sharp line in the sand between two worldviews. Now, as he frames it, liberalism focuses on the masses and it uses state control as its main tool. Libertarianism, on the other hand, is all about the sovereign individual. Its guiding question isn't what's good for the state, but instead, how do we maximize freedom for each and every individual?
But you might be asking, why even use the word libertarian? Well, in Karyan's view, the original meaning of liberal, which was all about individual freedom, was basically hijacked and twisted over time. So for him, libertarianism isn't some new invention. It's actually an attempt to reclaim and bring back that original, essential concept of freedom.
Now, this isn't just some abstract philosophy. Ara Karyan actually lays out a practical plan for building this new reality. He gives us a specific tech blueprint to follow.
Karyan's roadmap has three really crucial technological layers. First up, Web3 is the foundation. Think of it as a new, decentralized internet that puts power back in the hands of the users. Second, blockchain is the rulebook. It's a transparent, public ledger that guarantees fairness because no single person or group can change it. And finally, you have tokenomics as the engine, a system for creating new digital economies with their own assets, their own incentives, all built on those unbreakable rules. Karyan sees these not as just buzzwords, but as the literal building blocks for a new world.
So what's the endgame here? When you combine this libertarian philosophy with this powerful new technology, Ara Karyan argues you actually start to build an entirely new reality.
The ultimate goal, as Ara Karyan describes it, is to create what he calls a protective bubble. Think of it like an economic zone built entirely on the blockchain, a space where state control just can't reach. It's a new reality where the individual is truly the master of their own fate, operating under a new set of rules they've voluntarily chosen to live by.
This quote just perfectly captures the core strategy. Karyan actually compares it to turning the other cheek, but he reframes it, not as submission, but as the philosophy of a winner. The whole idea is that you don't win by fighting your opponent in their rigged game. You win by creating your own game and just refusing to play theirs at all.
So in the end, Ara Karyan's theory leaves us with this really profound question. What if their future of power isn't in the ballot box, but in the blockchain? Maybe the real revolution isn't about capturing the old system, but about building a brand new one that just makes the old one obsolete. And that's a question whose answer might be getting written as we speak.